Hello there and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Deepa Robbins from DeeZinesByD and I have another Make the Cards Challenge post for you today. So today I'm going to be making a classic Christmas slimline card, and when I say classic Christmas I mean that I'm going to be using classic Christmas colors. So as you might have guessed it, this week's challenge is a color challenge. And our color palette is full of reds and greens for you. So we have a light red, a dark red, a light green, a dark green. And as long as you have these colors within your card, you can go ahead and link up your project to the Make the Cards Challenge blog, and you could be entered to be the winner for the week. Now I'll go ahead and show you the challenge post here. So these are the reds and greens we're looking for. As long as you have something close and a nice variation of greens and reds, we definitely like to see what you guys are making. Now I am super excited to be using the Spellbinders Small Die, Large Die, and Glimmer Kit of the Month for November 2021. It's taken me about a month to get these, and I've been seeing everybody making their little things with them, so I'm excited to use them. Now I'm showing you that they're the Glimmer Kit as well, because I do actually get these in a bundle, which gives me a nice discount, but I'm not actually going to be using any foiling today. If you are a person who just started using foiling and just got the Glimmer system and some type of foiling system, this is the way to go, because I signed up for the Spellbinders Glimmer Kit as a bundle because I wanted to build up my stash. So that's definitely something to think about. Now the first thing I'm going to do is cut up all of my pieces of cardstock into the width of my slimline card that I'm going to make, which is 3 3/4. As long as I have the right width, the length doesn't really matter as long as it's big enough to cut out some borders. Along with those beautiful greens and reds, I'm going to be using some Sizzix Opulent Ivory Glitter and some of the gold mirror cardstock just to add a bit more oomph to my card. So the first border that you're going to cut out, you're just going to kind of pick that part of the wave that you want. And so I've done that here. I've cut it out. I've used the lined border here. And now I'm going to work on the second border. So I have to use that first wave as a guide to line up the second one, so that at the end of the day, when I put all these layers together, they're all going to line up in the same way to create that same wave. And I'll go ahead and line up that little foliage border in the exact same way that I did before. And again, that's going to create the same wave that I had. So once I've got all of these little pieces cut out for the top half of the card, I'm going to go ahead and put together the pieces that I want for the bottom half of the card. Now in order to do this, I'm going to need the flipped version of that wave. As you can see, I just did here. I took that top piece as a template, I flipped it over, so now it's the back side showing, and now I'm going to line up my wave in the exact same way. And I was showing you to make sure that you've got that portion of that die that's going to actually cut through the paper on the top, because you don't want to be cutting the wrong side. Now once I've got that nicely lined up, again I will tape it down to my cardstock, and you can see I'm using the leftover cardstock here, so I'm not really wasting too much. I've cut that out, and I've got a nice mirror image of that wave on the bottom that I had on the top. And you could see there's a bit of difference in the sizing here because I did kind of cut that wave a bit higher up, but you can always cut that portion off the bottom. The main thing is to make sure that you're lining up your waves, and that's what's going to give you that nice bordered look. So I'll basically continue in the same fashion as I did on the top half on the bottom. And I also cut out a little portion, you can see, of that top half with that kind of detail portion, that detail die. I didn't do it on the bottom half, just on the top half, just for a bit of interest. And you can see I'm going to be backing it on the green background, so I think this is the lighter green cardstock. Actually, sorry, it's the darker green cardstock that I chose there. Now I'm going to be using my Score Pal tape to add some tape to the curvy edge here so that I can attach this to the glitter cardstock. I do recommend using the Score Pal tape because it is very strong, and as you may know, it is sometimes hard to glue cardstock or anything to glitter. So once I've got that all on there nice and well, I'll go ahead and stick on the foliage border, which I cut out with that mirror cardstock, and I'm just going to be using my Tombow mono tape dispenser here. You don't need anything too strong because you're just, if you know stuff doesn't stick to glitter cardstock, you know stuff sticks very nicely to the mirror cardstock. So once I've assembled all my pieces for the top, I'll go ahead and do the exact same thing to the bottom because, as I said, this is the mirror image. I'm going to make sure that they all have the same kind of spacing in between them so that they look pretty much the same. And then once I've got the top and the bottom borders completed, all I've got to do now is kind of attach it to that green base. And I'm using one of the other pieces of cardstock that I cut as kind of like a guide to get the right sizing, because now I'm adding all of those pieces together. They're not going to be the right length, and I'm going to make them end up being 8.5 inches in length total. So as you can see, I'm attaching this to the base with foam squares. I want the foam squares because I want that bit of dimension, a little space in between all of those layers. And now is where I can kind of measure that exact length that I want, and I'll cut off that extra portion on the end. So I think I got maybe 1/2 inch extra. So it ended up being 9 inches, which is a bit too long for me. So I cut it down to 8.5 inches. So the total size of this panel is 3 3/4 by 8.5 inches. So now let's have some fun. I have these beautiful glitter puffy letters, and this actually came with the Spellbinders All Aboard card kit. Now, the All Aboard card kit is actually on sale right now in the Spellbinders shop for $75. If you click the link on my blog in the left sidebar, it takes you right there, and it's on sale. And I'm telling you that maybe you don't like everything in the kit, but there are some things in this kit that you just have to have. And I gotta say that these puffy stickers, and there's also some jewels that I'll be showing you at the end, they are totally worth buying this kit. I'm a little crazy, but so $75, this is worth $75 to me. No, you get a bunch more things in the kit, including glitter cardstock, but I'm telling you, it's totally worth it. I do recommend taking a look at that stuff. So anyways, I've gone ahead and used all of the extra little poinsettias and pine branch dies that come with this set, and I've cut them out of the other colors of red and green cardstock along with some of that ivory glitter cardstock. And now I'm going to add all of these little elements to the card, to that foliage border, to kind of just create a bit more interest. So as I'm doing this, I'm kind of tucking these little branches underneath that white border. And that's what kind of makes this a bit more cohesive, because if I had it on the top, you'd see the ends of the branches and it would just look a bit weird. So by tucking it in, it just makes it more part of that border. Now for the poinsettias here, I actually layered them. So I used the white glitter, and then I used the dark red cardstock, and then I kind of layered those together because I thought that putting that red on top of the red background might kind of blend the colors a bit too much, and I wanted that red poinsettia to stand out a bit. So the white and the glitter cardstock just helps it stand out on the red background there. I went ahead and added some of those beautiful little hollies. Now, if you do get this set, you'll notice those little hollies are actually pretty similar to the holly dies that come with the Christmas bloom set. So, I mean, if you just wanted all of these little pieces, like the little pine branches, the little hollies, and you're not too interested in the borders, I do recommend checking out the Christmas bloom set by Spellbinders, because that has all of these little pieces in it, and it's at a lower price point, so you can get exactly what you want. Now, this is what I was talking about in terms of embellishments. So these are the beautiful little glittery jewels that come in the All Aboard kit. You get some nice light greens and pinks, you get white and red, and they just work perfectly with all different types of Christmas cards. As always, I also use some nail art gems to kind of glitzify this card a bit. And if you know me, you know I like making up words like glitzify. And that's just what I like to do. I like to use a bunch of different types of jewels, and that just creates just a bit more interest on your card. So now I'm using the Spellbinders Small Die of the Month. This again is another set I think is totally worth it just for these little ornaments. They're so nice because they have this intricate detail on them. So if you wanted, you could just cut the background die and just make a nice simple ornament, or you could use these intricate pieces to create this nice intricate little die. And not only can you use it as a 2-layer die, you can also add some stitching to add a bit more to it. Now, I've already gone ahead and cut out my card base here to the exact size of the card front panel. And now I'm going to add these little ornaments on the inside just to kind of tie in those colors on the inside and add a bit of interest here. If you know me and you've watched my videos, you know I never really leave the centers of my cards blank. You can, there's nothing wrong with it. But I always like to kind of coordinate my insides with my outside. And this is a little term that I like to use for my card making, which is called decorating my cards inside and out. So now that I've got those little ornaments on there, I just have to add these little toppers, which also come with the set. I've cut those out in the ivory glitter cardstock as well. And after I've added those, I'm actually going to use some of the leftover scraps from those borders. Now, I was lining up all of the borders on the front of my card. And for this, I actually had the borders kind of offset, and it created another cool look, which you could actually use for those border dies, which is probably a project idea to use in the future. So now that I've got that on there nice and good, I'm going to go ahead and do my sentiment on the inside of my card. And for that, I'm going to turn to my good and trusty Altenew Blessing set. I'll stamp out the main sentiment and VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. And I do recommend using this Nocturne ink, or sorry, the VersaFine Clair ink, because I find that sometimes with the VersaFine, I have to stamp more than once. Almost every time I have to stamp it more than once to get like a perfect imprint. But with the VersaFine Clair, I always stamp it once and I get a good print all the time. Now I also stamped out that sub-sentiment using the Altenew Holiday Wishes stamp set, and I used some Altenew Mountain Pine ink to do that. And I have some of these extra little pine branches and holly leaves sitting next to me, so I decided, why don't I add these to the top of those little ornaments on the inside? And then this ties in some more of that green color to tie in the color scheme with the inside of the card. And finally, I used the Studio Katia gold foil confetti on the inside of my card. I love these embellishments for the inside of my card because they're flat. And sometimes when you're adding embellishments on the inside, like jewels, they tend to leave marks in the cardstock, and I don't like that. And it kind of just makes your card look a bit messy. So these confetti work perfectly for the inside of your cards. And once everything's put together, this is the final look that you get. A really nice Christmas classic looking card with those beautiful greens and reds and an inside to match the front. So I hope you guys have liked my video today. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell to be notified of future videos. If you get a chance, go ahead and check out my blog. It's linked below, along with all of the products which are linked within my blog in the link below. Furthermore, go ahead and check out the Make the Cards Challenge blog. There's a whole bunch more inspiration up there from the other designers. Find something that inspires you and go ahead and make your own cards and link it up so that you can be one of the winners for the week. With that said, I hope you guys have a great rest of the week, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye!